Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Eden Chief Delegate meeting number 3. This is recording at October 28, 10 p.m., 10:06 p.m. UTC. So our first item on the agenda, given that we've also joined by Ray as well, and Ray's here to talk to us about the website. Is that right, Chris?
Yes, exactly. So, and I'll catch us up with where we're at. So for those who are watching the screen, there's a new tracker that I'll include with all the published updates. And so the EdenOS website updates is an item on this tracker. And the last set of notes we had is that Ray was looking to potentially submit a Pomelo pitch to receive a small amount of funds to have a small team to take care of the site with his oversight. Content would come from the chief delegates. And the question was asked during the last meeting is if the site could just be transferred to us directly. And so that's kind of where we're at, just to see how we could move forward from here in terms of what we'd like to see happen and what Ray can do.
Cool. Well, should I tackle that now then? Ray, we're just talking about, basically authority over the domain. Essentially, we were wondering if either the domain can be transferred to Eden on EOS sort of chief delegate jurisdiction, or what your feelings were towards that.
Oh, it would help if I took myself off mute. Yes, that has been a subject of discussion that I've had with several folks, some of you individually. And the answer is yes. So the idea is to make sure that as duly elected officials of this group in this organization, that this board should be in complete control of all of the content that's on our web properties. And I would also add that we should look at the EOS community efforts as well. If I could share my screen, I wanted to show you guys kind of something that, just some of the concerns that I had that we can talk about. Probably gonna make sure I get the right one here. Is that it? Gee. Oh, that's not the right one.
And I guess to be clear, part of what John's question is not so much even the content ownership, but the site keys itself. Is that right, John?
Yeah. The main point of discussion is just getting access to the domain. I think most of us, or if not all of us, are happy for Ray to go ahead and the sort of maintenance and hosting of the web page is just more sort of getting our ducks in a row and centralizing all the important assets of that Eden has under control of Eden itself.
Yeah, so the main thing for me is I do have some concern about maintaining the quality and ensuring that everything meets sort of the standard that we've set early on. For example, I just wanted to share my screen and show you one of the concerns I had. So this is the updated site as of a day or two after the election. We added in the election results, 9 October, and we got our upcoming election. So all these things point to it. Also on this hero behind here, it ends in, talking about the upcoming election. And obviously this needs to be refreshed. We'd like to add in real images of our community. But there is another site that's been put up, which is a fork of this, which is EdenOS.com. And the challenge there is, by contrast, this is all the old stuff. So somebody is managing this domain, and out on a lot of the sites and boards and so on, that they're pointing over to this site. And while it is, yes, originally a copy of the work that I did initially, it is now no longer up to date. and doesn't have this, for example, this next election coming and all this sort of detail. So at least at a minimum, I've been trying to keep it up to date on the results of elections and things like that. So it's not a major deal. However, my concern is that this sort of thing kind of gets out of, once it's out of my control, I don't have access to this domain. And we've got now, 10, 20, 30% of the traffic or whatever's going here. And then that's sort of reflecting on the group as a whole. And it's not up to date.
So who owns this domain?
I don't know.
Didn't we know that Dan Larimer owned one?
He owns this one. Okay. And so what happens is I built this site and then I put this on GitHub. So this is actually on GitHub, and there are multiple, it's essentially an MSIG permission on GitHub for people to update. I'm the only one who maintains this, and there hasn't been much done. It does need, obviously, we need to keep these things moving forward, and we need to keep working on them and grow and so forth and so on. But I just wanted to point out that I do have that concern, and I'm one of those people that, grammar, usage, punctuation, text, images, precision, layout, things like that. These are all things that matter a lot to me. And so I don't want to necessarily lose control of that quality aspect. So what I would like to be able to do is welcome you delegates into doing whatever's necessary to make this thing sing the way you want it to be, but recognizing that I also want to maintain a measure of touch on these properties to maintain the quality. So that's the only thing I would ask, is that that we do that as a team. So if there's a way to do that, then I'm all in.
Okay. So you basically want creative input over what the website looks like?
Yes. So at least, for a transition period. I mean, listen, if things go the way I hope they do, I'm not going to really have time to dedicate toward this. But for the next, say, 3 months, I'd like to transition it into the hands of a team. So my idea was originally that I would head up a small team of 3 people. It'd be myself, a web dev person with JavaScript tech, and then a pure artist, right? And so between our little team of 3, the community would assign us the role of maintaining the content on these sites. And so that was kind of my vision. Put that on Pomelo and say, hey, I'd like to run this. Subsequent to that, I've gotten a little busier than I thought I would on other projects. So really what I'd like to be able to do is just maintain kind of my hand in this for a while we transition over. I have no problem whatsoever turning this over to ultimately to a trusted party. And obviously in that time frame, at a minimum, everything that you guys decide collectively, I would like to execute that and make sure that gets put into these websites. So all of the above. I can help you continue to maintain this for say the next 3 to 4 months. And then as we stand up a fully dedicated web dev team, that team is then, for lack of a better word, managed, coordinated by the chief delegate group. Whoever gets elected, part of their role, one of their roles and responsibilities is to maintain the management of all the web properties, because that's how it should be done. It should not be in the hands of one individual and so on. It should be a collective effort. So,
yeah, I think it would be realistic, if we get full ownership of the domain, and then we work out a deal from Eden on EOS and sort of contracting, outsourcing the the website work like you've suggested to you. But again, we can't make guarantees for the future leadership of Eden. They might turn around and say, nah, we want to do our own thing, we're going to take the domain elsewhere and find another team for web development and so on and so forth. So in terms of ownership of the domain, are you willing to give that up as a donation to Eden? The domain itself would be ours?
Yes,
or, Eden's?
I am. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And like I said, I just asked that transition be handled gracefully, rather than turning it over to one individual. I think we should figure out how to do some sort of MSIG approach where there's sort of a collective arrangement. I think that would be the best way to do it. And I think Dan should be willing to, if we look at if you look at site number 3 there, EOS community, I think the same thing here, because no one's maintaining this right now. It needs, this should be a small core team, and there's no reason we should have separate ones. This should all be done under one web development group.
Yeah, we'll likely get in contact with Dan and see what he wants there. But yeah, I'll be keen for just having that domain redirect to the other one. So the one that you manage again is called EdenOS.org.
Right.
And the unknown one is EdenOS.com.
Right.
Okay.
And for me, I elected, when I looked at the choosing to register these, this string to me became doesn't read very well. EdenOS. It doesn't. EdenOS. It's too much going on there. So I elected to go to something simpler, which was EdenOS, and it's a 7-character domain, and I think it just reads a little. It's a little cleaner. However, this is the full name. So I think collectively those all need to be brought under the management of this web development team.
Yeah, we'll have to create a campaign on figuring out who actually owns that domain and see if we can get that under as well.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, me and the rest of the CDs can counsel and talk about the website stuff. If I'll basically create an account with a domain registrar, and I'll send you a message on Telegram then, and we'll organize the transfer of the domain. I'll probably just create I guess we're going to need an email address for Eden to sort of manage this kind of stuff if we don't already have one for the Twitter accounts and whatnot as well. Yeah, cool. For the future of the website, though, this is based in WordPress, is it?
No, this is a JavaScript framework. So it actually has. You look down at the bottom here. These are all. These are all the JavaScript files.
It looks like it's kind of just vanilla from what I see in the source code on the page.
Yeah. So that one of the challenges is that it does require JavaScript knowledge at the moment. It's not a WYSIWYG development environment. So if you want to put that in the hands of someone without JS skills, it'll break very quickly. It'd be very easy to break this. So that's one of the reasons why I want to do this gracefully, and and so the initial transfer of this, I think we need to maintain this sort of quality going forward, and then if we decide to go to a new structure completely, then that would require a complete redesign, because this won't lend itself to that, right?
Yeah. Ideally, we would have something that's open source that people can just create PRs, and then it just automatically builds and deploys to a CDN or something like that.
Right. Right. I mean, there are a lot of tools out there where you can have people designing and building. I mean, WordPress would be one of them. I've done a couple sites of WordPress. The plugins are fantastic.
Yeah.
So that might be an opportunity at this point to do a redesign on the structure.
Yeah. Because at one point after we got the base structure done, we might not even need an ongoing team. We can just have it, PR and bounty based. So
Right.
basically just say, hey, this is the design that we want, and here's a bounty for it. And then the open source community can just jump on, create a PR that does what we want. And we just pay them out by that as well. But yeah, cool. I think that's all the questions I had. Did any other of the CDs want to ask anything?
No, I'm good. Thanks for your time, Ray.
All righty. I will jump off. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Ray.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
All right. Bye.
Cool. You guys satisfied with that? Then we get the domain, and then we further discuss with Ray on the future of the website once we've got sort of ownership and the stuff transferred.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Yeah. Ideally, we'd have some sort of, like, if there was a business entity, like we talked about, that would be what owned the domain itself. But I mean, I think it's easy enough to have just a generic registrar account, like you said, to handle it in the meantime.
Yeah. If we keep it lightweight for now, then we can talk about more of the bigger stuff.
Right.
But yeah, and then you're on board with the sort of open source idea and having a sort of PR, Git centric thing.
Whether it's Next or Gatsby or something that is a static site generator, probably that we can just have people download, build on, improve for us, and then GitHub controls the whole deployment process, or any other source provider. I don't want to pigeonhole us to GitHub.
Cool. All right. We satisfied with that. Happy to move on to the next task. Cool. So review of previous actions, ongoing issues, forming of other Edens. I think Chris is our champion on this one.
Yeah. Let's moving things across screens. I'll just share that tracker thing since it has this. Should work. You can see it?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So this is actually going to be a quick one. From on October 26th, the Brandons of EOS, one of those is known as Lovejoy as well, did a great update and confirmed that, we also heard this another way, but their confirmation that the Clarion team is working on the code necessary and support necessary to spin up other Edens. So that's good news. And really, I think from our end, we don't need to do much other than support. If they have any requests of us, maybe check in on them from time to time just to see how that's moving, and relay this to any interested parties within Eden who ask us about it. Now, I was talking to a few anyway, so made this known. And so it looks like this will happen as it should happen from the Eden, from the Clarion guys.
Cool. So just leaving that under Clarion's wing for now then, and we'll wait for the feedback from them. Yeah. Next steps I have is just support them if needed and check on them from time to time. So really nothing left to do here. I'm going to keep it on the list just because selfishly, I just want to make sure this gets done. So, but we don't have to talk about it every meeting going forward. Cool. Cool. So social media accounts and their owners. Randall, you were on that one? You're on mute.
So I thought Brandon Lovejoy was gonna try to get Annabella to respond to us regarding those two Eden accounts. But to be honest with you, I've not been able to follow up on that. So I think I'll work on that. And then I'll get back to you guys.
Yeah, and I'll just ask the same question I asked Annabella via PM in the Eden members group and see if I get a response that way.
Okay.
It seems to be active there. So
Okay.
Okay. And so what accounts does she have control over?
we don't know for sure, but I think it's the Eden on, what is it? There's two Twitter.
Yeah. Hers is like the official Eden on EOS or
Is
something,
it?
I think.
Yeah, I don't know which is which.
What does
I don't know
official even
who-
mean?
we don't really know which belongs to, who's controlling either of those two, to be honest.
Cool. And so both you and Randall will reach out to her then, pester her and see what's going on there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because we have Eden on EOS and we have real Eden OS, right? So we don't know which one is which and who's controlling what. So we want to reach out to her.
Neither one that Eden on EOS actually has.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Cool. All right. Yeah, we'll get on to Annabelle then.
Mm-hmm.
And Randall, you did have a pretty nice spreadsheet though, right? That was in our group
Yes.
chat. So you
Yeah.
put together a nice spreadsheet.
I'm gonna share that after the meeting. I'm gonna put it in the Eden Chief Delegates Telegram group so that everyone will have access to it.
Okay. Yeah, that was a pretty good list you had. So thanks for that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Ownership of Eden on EOS transit CDs, the main movement in progress. For the website feature in discussing. So essentially, are we happy with the current state of the website, just with a few changes? Actually, if it's vanilla.js, yeah, we can just have it on a GitHub deployment. The first item that I wanted to do with the website was remove the hero thing, the changing images. I think it's better without that. Are you guys in agreement there?
Very much.
Yes, I think we should have a call to action up there.
Yeah.
If you want, John, if it helps, I can just keep making notes on my side, so you don't have
Yeah,
to
true.
share.
I'll make this a mess then, and then you can pass it, and then we'll get the actionable items. All right. Cool. So yeah. So I'll get the domain moved then. Hopefully we don't break it for long, in case there is any brief shutdown there with the DNS records getting changed over. A prerequisite of that is having an email account. Do we have an email account for Eden yet, or should I create one too?
Not to my knowledge.
Cool. I guess it's a no. Okay. And so with this email account, I'll also get it to you first, Randall, so that when we do migrate Twitter and stuff like that, we can change the email account of the Twitter account to that and have it all there. You guys happy with a bloody, Outlook live or whatever address?
Yeah, Outlook is good.
Cool.
I don't care.
Sweet.
We'll have to do a pass on the web content itself and the overall message we're trying to deliver at some point as well. Right now it's confusing. So
yeah, well, I guess for that we need funding. Were any of us keen on giving up some funds to put money towards that now, or do we want to hang in there a bit longer and wait until we get Pomelo funding to make those changes happen? As a web developer myself, I'm happy to jump on there and just mess around with stuff if we do need some sort of quick wins on the website. But yeah, if we want a complete overhaul, then that's going to take us some time and energy.
Yeah, but don't we want to probably create like a working group and have the community, some members of the community at least chime in and talk about what they want to see on the website and how they want it to look like. And, maybe with that, we can come up with a theme that, can represent all of Eden members, maybe.
We can. I just thought, I think it'd just be good not to take too long. I think it, create a good statement to the community if we say, hey, bam, here's a new website. Look how good it is, rather than, hey, we're creating a website, let's get everyone's input on it, blah, blah, blah. And then we have, 600 different opinions on color schemes and things like that. And we never actually get anything done. And then before we know it, we get kicked out. And then the next Eden group comes in and they try, repeat the same, process over and over.
Here's one area I think might be, sorry to jump in, John. One area I think might actually be good to get community input from on the website is just photography. I'm sure we have some good photographers in our midst, and even if we could just get folks to submit photos that would take place with the stock photos, I think that was one area that was kind of driving a lot of us nuts. Make it look a little more like ours instead of generic.
I agree. There's going to be, well, that there is a few creative people there. So yeah, surely they can come up with something nice, and I'm sure they'll be happy to have their art showcased on the website. It's a fantastic idea, Lovejoy. Any more discussion that we wanted around this, or are we happy to move on to the next meeting on?
Good by me.
Cool. Eden bylaws. So we still in the process of drafting that. Did we enlist someone to create a draft, or where are we at?
No, I think the last.
Sorry, hang on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Dan said he was drafting bylaws, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So Dan was going to draft it, and we will look at it and go through it with him and decide on some of the things together.
Cool. Let's put a bit of pressure on him then, because I feel like, I don't know, we don't want it all done by him, but then again, it is his, baby. So yeah. Yeah, so Dan Larimer creating it. Let's see if we can get an early draft or something, just so we got something to work with, and then we can sort of polish maybe what he's creating. Are you guys keen on that idea?
Yeah, I guess he's been working on it for a long time, seems like. But yeah, it would be nice to get a draft as soon as possible. I don't know how we could put pressure on him. I guess just like saying it on these calls. Dan, come out with a draft, please, as soon as possible. But hopefully we get that soon.
Or just pester the Clarion team, and then Clarion team can whatever we need to do. But yeah, it'd be cool if we could get that actioned before our term is up, and then that actually no, we don't even need to do that. The bylaws will be the bylaws when Dan says they are, isn't it, for the first round?
Right. He said he's going to work with us.
He's going to work with us.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. Ideally, we'd get a draft. We'll look at it. We can canvass the community about it, have a bit of back and forth. 5 months goes by. Boom.
Sweet. Shared EOS MCG account. That was up to me. I've been talking to a Clarion team member. We were getting a bit technical, with making it a bit more robust, where there's like a sort of contract enforced permission, where basically we don't even need to change the permissions. The Eden contract, when it performs a new election, that thing will update. I'll follow up with where we're at with that. But then for the time being, let's just clarify what exactly we wanted to get out of it. I know one of the ideas was just having a sort of shared front when posting on Bartlett Garden. Did we also want one to sort of share funds, or is that not really a use case that we would have for it?
We may need to.
Yeah.
It's not yet. That was the whole thing where Eve suggested we could put in a Pomelo pitch as chief delegates. So then we would. I'm not sure if now is the time to do that, though. I don't know. We could talk about that later, I guess, in the call. But
yeah, I'm sure there's going to be future cases that we can't foresee now that it's just going to be, warranted to have one. So yeah, it'd be good to get it set up now. Cool. Move on to the next item. Review of mission, vision, value statement, suggestions. I would say the bylaws that Dan proposes really paint a good picture, initially at least, of what that is. But I guess we can make our own statement if we wanted. But again, there's people that are, governing, steering the ship, and then it's someone else that actually decides, where it is that we're trying to go to, in a sense. So, yeah, did you guys have further input on that?
I don't think the bylaws necessarily have to, I don't think we need to wait for the bylaws to do this. It's going to take us some time still to come up with this, but I don't know. I feel like we can still move forward on this and at least get something partially drafted, and maybe it's just a statement. It's not like we're putting it on chain. So we could always change it anyway if the bylaws are completely contradictory.
Yeah, but if the bylaws are completely contradictory, we might look a bit stupid. If we say, hey guys, we'll come up with this mission statement, we're gonna cure cancer, and then Dan's like, bylaws is completely different. I was like, oh, hang on.
I doubt a bylaw would be like, you can't cure cancer.
Give us more credit. We'll get close, I'm sure. Did we get any feedback from the community when folks popped that question in the Eden members group? And
can you see my screen? It might be small. I can read it. These are from the Violet Garden post. So there's a good amount of engagement there. I mean, I can read it. You guys want me to read it? I don't know how far you want to go.
Want to bring it up on your screen? You're showing the Google Doc at the moment. Do you want to open it?
Oh, am I sharing the wrong screen?
It was just the chief delegate meeting items. I thought I was tripping for a second there. So wait.
I'm sorry. I was sharing the wrong screen all along.
There we go.
I was updating notes and everything. Yeah. So these, stressing openness of new. So basically, there was a couple of people that put actual examples, some overlap for sure. Mission statement, life, liberty, property. Also in the values, life, liberty, property. Here, life, liberty, property. So that is a key theme, and that's going to fit in one of these. We don't even the idea. Do we need all three? It might be overkill. Maybe we just have one or two of them and not all three. EdenOS is a community governance system used to establish true leaders through a process defined as democracies of democracies. The mission of this community governance is to provide true democratic leadership to EOS through elected individuals, which best represents the goals, direction, and values of said community. There's a bunch of good ones. So what I'm wondering is, so we don't waste a ton of time here just like reading these and debating them, I can sort of send this summary to the group to look at, maybe individually. Like, these are good comments to consider. This one's especially good from James Mart. I see a lot of confusion among people between the concepts of Eden and fractal democracy. The way I see it, which is James, the mission, vision, values of fractal democracy are to improve society through more transparent consensus mechanisms. But this is not the mission of Eden. Eden's specific mission is to improve the EOS blockchain, public blockchain, for all end users, developers, and organizations. So this is an interesting point, because we have some division, I think, within the community as to why we're here. Is it just about EOS? Is it bigger? This is from Mel. Has Eden been designed and created just for the development and improvement of EOS? I'm not sure, even though initially this is how we intend to use it. So lots of food for thought. My suggestion is I provide a summary to everyone to look at. We each take it away, look at it, maybe add some of our own options here, and then review on our time, and then come back and discuss maybe some top choices. Maybe we just kind of rank our top picks and then come back and finalize it, because we could spend hours probably talking about this if we wanted to.
Yeah. As you raised, then we definitely need to sort of state and make more obvious the differences between them all. Because again, yeah, you've got like the Eden framework, or I guess you could call that Eden as well. And then you've got EdenOS, and then you've got Eden on EOS. And those are all three different things. And yeah, we need to make that a bit more obvious. And then you, Chris, weren't you, again, you're working on educational stuff for the Eden framework, aren't you? Like putting it in schools and stuff like that?
Yeah, but we're working on an education package that's for primary, secondary, post-secondary school, homeschooling, with teacher materials and all sorts of cool shit. But it in terms of content, we're going to call it Eden, but it's going to be it's EOS decentralized education network is one idea that has come up. So it's not really Eden per se, but yeah, it's more about holacratic frameworks mixed with fractal democracy mixed with blockchain. So it's not really, we're not really teaching Dan's book necessarily. It's going to be a lot of things. A lot of the content's going to come from Dan's book, but it's kind of its own beast. That's not necessarily just going to be about Eden on EOS. In fact, it won't be. Because
with the Eden on EOS website, we're gonna we'll go. I think it'd be good if we go a little bit into the Eden framework, but ideally there'll be a statement that says somewhere, Eden on EOS is a decentralized group that uses the Eden framework, for its governance. And then, there's a link to the Eden framework and it goes to another site. And that's where it sells the whole, ideas of fractal democracy and sortition and sort of, has the kind of, more equal animals vibe. And then that way on Eden on EOS, where you can focus on, actual EOS as well. So yeah, I think that would also help with the sort of crisis that we have at the moment with all these different words going and people not fully understanding it all.
Well, it seems really clear to me, and I don't know, maybe that's, but I feel like we've only been elected to work on Eden on EOS. Like, we're not really here to do anything with EdenOS. That's Clarion purely, and then Eden, just the philosophy, it's kind of its own creature altogether that needs tons of other work with education and stuff. And we can certainly get into that zone, and there's a working group that we're doing with the Eden expansion group that is kind of working on that a little bit. Chris just spoke about, but I think as far as the mission, vision, values, isn't this just squarely Eden on EOS, or shouldn't this be
for the mission? Yeah, I'm just talking. I thought I saw one of the comments was just about getting confused over the concepts of Eden, fractal democracy, and then how that might confuse people that look at it as well.
There's definitely some variation of views. Yeah, sorry, Lovejoy. Yeah, it is confusing. And linking Eden to the mission of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals by the United Nations, that is taking us away from EOS. So, right. So there's definitely varied views, which is fine. That's all great. But I'm in agreement with what both you guys just said. I think we need to keep this focused on EOS. That's where our funding comes from, first of all. So if we're not maintaining that, and exactly like the Eden expansion group can be the same people who are doing this, but we're going to do it a different method, and the funding is going to come from deliberately people who are willing to, Pomelo is a great way to get funding for that initiative, and it shouldn't, I don't think, be our priority. I'm with that. Randall, Jesse, Aaron, what do you guys think? Are you guys in agreement with that?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think it'll also lead into the website, what we want the website to say as well, because with the focus being very mixed between all three of those topics, we need to focus in on the one that this group is about. And obviously we want to see the other aspects succeed as well, but there's a place for all of it. Just different audiences.
And I think we'll see that we're going to end up advancing those other areas, but like you say, our primary focus should be Eden on EOS. And I think as the first officially elected chief delegates, we just have kind of a wider load than others will have going, because it'll break off into separate groups that are kind of working in EdenOS, Eden, the philosophical educational side of things, and then Eden on EOS, the branch that is dedicated to benefiting EOS using these tools. But we're going to have to kind of bootstrap a lot of this. So it's a little messy for a while.
Cool. How do we? Should we just spin up a Google Doc and then we'll start drafting the mission statement, and then each of us can put in thoughts and stuff like that, and we'll just ongoingly polish it until we're happy with it.
Yeah,
That
it's a
sounds
great idea. Yeah, and I'll start it off with these examples from the community, and then it's a good place where we can then put our own down.
Cool.
One of the impressions I'm just getting from looking at this document is that the suggestions are a lot more generalized than what we were discussing in the last call. You know, it's not, and I'm not saying it's bad or it's good. It's just an observation that I'm seeing.
So maybe, yeah, definitely, like you say, Jesse, there's some different ideas that there have. Perhaps if we aim to each take some time looking at this Google Doc between now and the next meeting, assuming it's a week from now, take some time in that meeting to discuss our favorites, kind of maybe try to find consensus. Then we could be really inclusive and bounce it off the community and say, hey, what do you think of these? Get some feedback, see if there's some tweaks that people, oh no, it's fucking horrible or whatever. And then come back, because we don't really need to be in a rush, since a part of this is, you know, the bylaws, like you mentioned, John, right? We're not making those anyway. So it's not like we need to rush these through to then make bylaws. So that'll give us like a couple of weeks to sort of finish this up if we do it like that. What do you guys think?
Excellent.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So yeah, actionable item from that is Chris to create Google Doc, and we'll polish it. Next item, Eden as a DAC/DAO. Again, can we actually define what we mean by DAC or DAO? Because those are pretty, like, you know, we could say we're a DAC right now.
Mhm.
We're decentralized, aren't we? We're a community, aren't we? We're already a DAC. So
Yeah.
what exactly do we mean by that?
Well, I think this discussion is more actually around the legal framework that would encapsulate the DAC DAO than it is about whether it's a DAC DAO. I'm just going to go with DAO because that seems to be the.
Well, should we say more legal or legal company? Isn't it? That's what we're talking about?
That's my understanding. I mean,
Okay.
we are a DAO. You're right.
We are a DAC. We are a DAO. That's right.
Yeah.
It's whether we're just a legally registered with some jurisdiction behind us. That obviously we're not. So, and I think, in my view on this, is we're just waiting for some feedback from experts, which Lovejoy is helping to set up, as to like why we'd bother. I'm still not fully, other than this limited liability piece, I still don't quite understand why we'd even necessarily want to be one, like, registered. So I think that's
Yeah.
where we're at, right?
Yeah, I agree with Chris. So if we're a DAC and we have agreed that the smart contract is pretty much dictating how we act, right?
Yep.
Then we shouldn't really, worry about, being registered somewhere, because we are across different countries and all over the globe. So, I mean, how do we pick a jurisdiction that we are going to basically use?
Obviously, America, the best country in the world.
Duh.
I don't know.
No, well, if I may, I think it's not, it's simply, to my mind, it's just simply a question of, like, is it of value to this organization to have that as like an arm? Not do we have to like put all our chips into this thing or anything? I mean, we could be exploring all sorts of options, like, and this is obviously, we know this is a bigger conversation that's going to go on for a little while here. We have to get more information, but the value, as I see it, if we were to go down this road, could be like that we just have a branch or an arm that can interface with the world on that level, when need be, but we don't need to like tie ourselves to that entirely and throw the brick in the water. You know what I mean? Like we can kind of we could create a structure that we could turn to, even that is like even outside of like the DAO as we view it, as an independent autonomous organization, in the way that a for-profit might have a nonprofit and a nonprofit might have a for-profit. But this is just me spitballing. I've got we're down for 15 minutes with Jacqueline Radabau and her associate on the 4th, I believe. And we can talk if we want to spend money on an hour of like a more focused discussion on like our particular needs. That's totally, maybe after we have that 15-minute discussion, we can think more.
I'll add that if there's a legal entity, and if it was a DAO, like we might be able to engage better with companies we want to contract services with. It'll give an entity to be able to sign contracts with and pay contractors with. Like if there was a shared budget between all of us that we could allocate, there might be people that we end up working with that need to be able to like generate a paper trail for where that income came from for themselves. So if a legally registered entity somewhere that formed this DAO existed, they would have something to put on the invoice to create that paper trail for themselves. I actually was in a Telegram channel and watched this unfold with another DAO that like some of the members in the DAO were like, where are we registered? Like, what do people put on these invoices? Because they had contracted out work on some software and the bill finally was coming due and they were like scrambling to figure out how to do it. So it probably is worth looking into, because not everybody's going to want to engage with just funds that magically appear somewhere. And being able to allocate things like that into like a legally recognized system will not create barriers between this group, future groups, and the potential people they want to work with, whether it's maintaining the website like we've talked about or whatever other initiatives this group may want to take on.
Yeah, I feel like it could be a double-edged sword. We'll get benefits from it, and then we'll also get drawbacks from it. We're not going to know until we know further about it. But yeah, it's tough.
I agree with Aaron. I was going to make the same point, pretty much. It's about, Chris asked why, basically, and it's about business prospects. To me, that would be the benefit of incorporating.
But we could also get the same thing from existing Eden members that already have a registered company and want to act as that middleman or something, can't we?
I mean, but then you're transferring the liability of like the whole operation to that individual. In that, I mean, speaking not as a lawyer, you know, and as an individual who's already kind of in that position, you know, it's like, who's got my back, you know, if I'm out there acting on behalf of this like nebulous, not legally recognized organization, you know, and something goes sideways, then, you know, like we may, this is like where Dan would have some interesting input, you know, because he's doing a lot of thinking about how we should or should not engage with, you know, the traditional legal system and whatnot. So
I think if you want, you know, like if there's going to be a liability and stuff like that, then it should be, yeah, either on the chief delegate, you know, themselves that's executing it, or again, you could have a shared, you know, chief delegate thing. Again, technically, you could create a company for every you know, election that's, you know, shared amongst those original, you know, members. And so the company is not actually owned by sort of Eden on EOS. It's just sort of there as a as a proxy. And then, who knows, legally, it might make sense to incorporate or whatever in the States. But next year, it might be better off in Gibraltar. That's where like block 1 is, or Bullish is. And then, there's that sort of, flexibility there. And you're not, because like what happens, like once that company, we found the company, we screw it up, and we've legally screwed something up that we can get sued for or something. And then we pump that off to the next, election guys. And then, before they even start and can, do their magic, they're getting sued. The company's getting sued, and now we're all getting, bogged down kind of thing. Whereas if there was one company per election round, if they got into a business position where it makes sense to do it, then sure. But if we can have, election rounds that, only 3 months long or something, we might be in a position where it's not even required to do so either. So that's another idea.
And Dan has indicated recently that he's exploring overlapping terms for delegates. That further complicates matters. Like if we did it like WAX does with the Office of Inspector General, where one person comes in, one person goes out, but 2 stay the same. Or in our case, there's 6, and there could be like 3 coming in, 3 going out, or whatever the case may be. I'm not, again, this is why we need further counsel from people that know better, but it also does seem like perhaps there's a way to, vacate a position. So like if we had like a cooperative structure or some sort of DAO legal structure, then the chief delegates that left could just vacate their position in the company, and then the new people would step in to those roles.
Yeah. As long as it's defined.
That's what it says in the DAO statutes. In the Wyoming DAO statutes. But I can imagine that being very high lawyer fees if we're moving people in and out of like the members of the company. But maybe it's just necessary. That's just the nature of our beast here.
Maybe we need lawyers as Eden members that
right.
In-house. Anyway, more to discuss.
So, yeah, we still risk like, I don't know, passing on tax returns and everything to the next thing, and then Wyoming is for profit, isn't it? So we're going to get taxed on that, aren't we?
Yeah,
if there's profit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
I believe Wyoming has state taxes.
Yeah. Well, in that case, I think it's if we were to create companies, then it should be done per election. So the 6 of us will have our own company. The next election will create another company, and they might pick with Gibraltar or Dubai because there's no tax there. Like the legal framework keeps changing. And then again, Dan even says in his book that the whole limited liability thing is kind of like free insurance, right? So if we're constantly creating new companies, if one goes to shit, well, who cares? We ditched it 8 months ago, sort of thing. So
disposable corporation.
Yeah, make it more disposable. If we're going to get in the legal system, may as well,
I'm sure there'd be. Go ahead.
And then we're responsible for our own actions, and we're not making we're not saying, all right, welcome to you just won the election, now we're going to make you legal members of a board and you're now responsible for this company, and good luck kind of thing.
Well, that was why we talked about having a separate set of people that are appointed by the chief delegates.
Yeah, and as soon as we get into that
company,
realm, then shit gets way more complicated, and then we get way more legal fees to do it, and then we're probably most likely going to get.
That's like the opposite, dude. If we had the same people,
no, it'd be
and
less
the chief
legal
delegates,
fees.
it'd be less fees. It'd be less complicated. What you've described by transferring from each chief delegate to the next is far more complicated and costly to start new companies every time.
Yeah, but
anyway,
then in terms of fees, we're paying people to sit on a board.
Who says you have to pay them? First of all, they might volunteer, and it's based on their value. It could be a bounty system. There's lots of ways you could approach that. Anyway, I think bottom line, we need more information. I mean, we're just going to debate here about philosophical differences. And that's fine, but it's not productive because in the end, we need more counsel. We need feedback from Dan and the Clarion team. I don't think we've explicitly asked about this piece from him. So we already have a follow-up about the bylaws. So we could also just include in that a question about what's his view on us doing something legal. He may have some insight. And then this is going to be a long-standing question, I think. And it should be. This is something we shouldn't rush. So I say we park it for now, wait for that call with and then with the lawyer, Lovejoy, we probably should figure out what our questions are in advance instead of just going ad hoc, raising our hand. Let's figure out what they are on Telegram as a group and then just have them.
Yeah, so they're just giving us 15 minutes, and I think they're just gonna lay out. It's more like a presentation of what a DAC or a DAO would look like under probably Colorado cooperative law, being that that's the most flexible in the U.S. anyway. And then I don't know how much time we'll have for questions at the end of that. And then they indicated that we could sit down for an hour and discuss our more particular needs as an organization for a fee, but I'm not really sure what that is yet. I didn't ask yet. And but
maybe just in your course, just force that one question about benefits. I think that's probably the key I know it's the key for me. It's why bother, right? So just if they can help articulate that.
Yeah, definitely. Whatever questions that come up for you guys, keep them in the Telegram. We'll try to condense them down into a few that we can sneak in and post presentation without trying to eat up too much of their time beyond the 15 minutes. I think we might be able to get another 10-15 minutes discussion out of it if they're not pressed for time, but we can't really guarantee it. I know that they're also doing Jacqueline said that they're doing a
Joe, you have to charm Jacqueline somehow. Maybe give her a nice compliment. We can end.
Well, I already
smooth talker. Come on.
I already suggested that I interview her for Blocks Populi, and I think that was kind of flattering. So
perfect.
Working job.
He's one step ahead of you, Jesse.
Yeah, even better. That's way better than my idea.
But her partner Yev and she will be presenting on DAO co-ops next week at a conference, and she said she can share the information with us when she has it. So maybe there'll be a live feed of that too that we can also share with the community. I'll stay on top of that and let you guys know. And then hopefully she won't mind if we record the 15-minute call, but if they do, then we won't be able to share it. We'll just take notes. So yep.
This lawyer that they just doing the state Wyoming stuff, or do they specialize in DAOs sort of worldwide?
You talking about the ones I'm talking to?
Yeah.
They're actually they're more in the cooperative law framework. They presented at the DAO hackathon. I forget what it's the Wyoming. I'm forgetting the clever name they had for it, but the event in Laramie that was several weeks ago now. But they presented on the notion that the cooperative law was actually more flexible for setting up a DAO as a legal entity. And so I just want to go a little further down the rabbit hole there. There's other people I'm trying to reach out to that have more input, and Jesse has spoken a little bit about the Wyoming law in specific, but I kind of want to get the rundown from the co-op advocates first, and then compare that to the other option that we have seemingly. And internationally, I have no idea, but they go ahead.
I'm curious because you've said a few times now that they claim that the Colorado cooperative framework is more flexible than Wyoming, which is the only other DAO framework in the United States. And when I read the statutes of the Wyoming framework, it seemed very flexible. So I'm just curious, thinking that it's probably because in Wyoming, you cannot have a nonprofit DAO in Wyoming.
I think there's several things, and rather, I'll put it to you this way. Then the title of their presentation in Wyoming was "Are Co-ops the Original DAO?" And I think, from their perspective, like DAOs aren't really doing anything new except for adding a blockchain and a smart contract to the legal structure, and that the legal structure
Right.
that was kind of like bolted on top of a DAO in Wyoming is actually like less well formed of a legal structure than the cooperative law, which has been around for a really long time and has precedent in all the other states, so it's just got like all sorts of,
So not more flexible, more precedents.
well, both, I would presume, like it's just had people, working in cooperative law in all 50 states, like, and then the Colorado version of cooperative law is like they describe it as like the Delaware of cooperative law. So again, like we'll just have to wait for this conversation to get all the pitch on why co-op versus LLC. But yeah, it's going to be a ongoing exploration.
Cool. All right. Well, yeah, we'll look forward to the meeting then. Next
Sorry, you
item.
have to get up at 2 a.m. for that if you want to be there. I tried to get them to do 5 p.m. or whatever, but that was just like a Calendly thing, and those were the options. So
Actually, it was at 1500 UTC, you said?
I don't remember the
Yes.
UTC. It's
Yes.
it's 10 a.m. Central, so
Okay. Cool.
it's a Thursday. Maybe you'll be partying on Thursday night. You'll just...
Yeah, I was just coming to the meeting drunk. The demand for user transfers, Lovejoy, you brought it up before. Did you want to transfer your funds from one Eden member to another using the Eden contract?
Not right this instant, but I want to know that I can do it when the time comes, and that it's not going to be, that there is like a solution apart from waiting for the Clarion team to develop something in the UI for me to just be like, hey, John, can I send some to Bees or send some to EOS support or what have you. So
yeah,
just to clarify, Lovejoy's talking about the ability to withdraw the funds straight from the Eden contract to another Eden member.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's
we should
very
catch the
easy.
community up on that whole thing too, because I don't think to whatever extent we want to.
And to be clear, it's not that you're withdrawing it to another member, you're allocating it so they can withdraw it.
It's like an internal transfer, right? Is that what we're thinking of it
okay.
as? So rather, it's a tax problem for us, potentially, if like except for Chris, because he's lucky he's in Canada. That's not fair.
I won the lottery.
We cannot be Canadians.
I won the Eden lottery.
The tax conundrum, at least for U.S. citizens, would be that if we take possession of the entire balance directly, then we're on the hook for that as income. And then if I turn around and just give it away to somebody, it's like I just gave away my income to somebody, but I don't get any, necessarily tax benefits from that. It's just seen as income that I have to pay taxes on. So if we can transfer it without even touching it, that's the ideal sort of scenario that seems to have been figured out, but we don't have a button in the UI that people like me can just be like doop, 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 doop.
Yeah. You can do it all for the blocks UI. So I can easily just create a YouTube video and just demonstrate how it's done, what buttons to press. You just type in how much EOS you want to transfer the user, and
awesome. I'm pretty familiar with blocks and anchors, so if you can do it with a combination of those two things, then that's awesome. Yeah, just copy me in the YouTube video and you'll be right. Cool. So that's it for current topics and that new topic. Next one on the list is individual updates, discussion on talking to B1, and should Eden start its own Discord server. Do we have any further individual updates, or have we kind of gone through them as we went over the existing items?
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind everyone just quickly saying something,
Yeah.
or just help me make these notes. I'll just you can be super fast if you want.
Yeah, super fast. So for EOS support, we're able to help the EOS Network Foundation launch their Discord. We've been helping them out with tickets that people have questions, and we've been helping them out with that, and things have been going very well. We also had a gentleman donate 200 EOS to EOS support. We really appreciate that. One of the EOS community members, he said that he likes the fact that we are really helping the community, so he donated 200. And there's another gentleman that donated 5 EOS not too long ago. So I want to make sure that I acknowledge his 5 EOS. I will send him a message and thank him for that. So we want to continue to do the best that we can for EOS, and we want to help as many users as possible. And anyone who wants to help support us, that would be great as well. We also want to thank Gray Mass. Aaron, we want to thank you very much for donating 100 accounts. So far, we have not given any of the accounts out yet because we want to make sure that we basically give the account out the best possible way so that people are not gaming the system and basically just getting all the accounts for themselves. We want to make sure that we distribute it as much as we can to as many people as possible. So we are working on that. We also want to say that we have a decent amount of tickets. We have increased amount of tickets now, and we are helping as many people as we can. Some of the people are coming from Violet Garden. I mean, we get a lot of people from Bullish, but we send them to go to B1's website. But we had some people come from Violet Garden. So John, we wanted to reach out to you maybe later on and talk to you about how we can best work that out. If we get people from Violet Garden, do you want us to send them back to you, or is there like some sort of paperwork that we can read so that we can help them, like, with the minor stuff? And if it's something that is difficult or development type of questions, then where do you want us to send it? But it's something that we want to talk about later. Okay, let me see. We are also monitoring some of the scams that's going on in the community at the moment. So that's something that we just created so that we can eventually, talk about some of the new scams or how people are exploiting new users in the community. Let me see. Oh, another good one that we just have. Francis just updated our smart contract for us. So now, once we're able to get an audit on the smart contract and we deploy it, we can have the EOS support members or agents claim their monthly tokens without us actually sending the money to the account. We can just have it so they can claim it like how we have it on Eden. So that's something that is also very interesting at the moment. What else? I think that's about it for now. That's what we've done so far. But we are still recruiting. It's very difficult to go through the onboarding because we are doing KYCs with each support representative. So some of them, they have legal problems that we have to deal with, but eventually we will have more people on board so that by November 1st, hopefully we can be able to help the bees onboard as many people as possible. So.
One thought on the scams that come your way, if maybe get Dario to just kind of keep track of them and do like a weekly tweet of like scams of the week or something, and and like tag us, because it'd be just a good way to get it out there. If he's seen stuff, just tweet about it and then we can share it.
Okay.
Just thought.
Scam of the week, love it.
I can go. So yeah, the bees are launching with paid marketing on November 1st. We are trying to get everyone organized, get everyone's information. So for example, civil resistance policy that agreed to be code to never insult or cause a negative reaction.
Hey, Jesse,
yeah.
Maybe turn off your camera. You're a whole lot came in at once. So we kind of missed that.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe say that again.
Can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So we are launching paid marketing on November 1st. And we are working on getting everyone organized and getting everyone's information. Like, for example, we have a civil resistance policy where you have to record yourself with your face, saying your name and that you agree to the B code to never insult or cause a negative reaction. And so, and like a Twitter and Reddit account. And we've got a bunch of different people across different countries. So we're really trying to push everyone to get their information. Also, I came out with an article, a beginner's guide to EOS. And this is something that for the first month, the paid hives will translate that article. And it's perhaps like the introduction to, so I've recently realized that there's a global kind of standard of excellence that the bees organization should have. So we've formed like an informal global hive. Like there's going to be a global hive with myself, and I'm going to build a small team just to have like a really high standard of content that can be translated into all the other hives. And so, yeah, those are the kind of the two main things we've been working on this week. And I also want to thank Aaron. Aaron also gave us 100 accounts. We haven't used them yet, but we intend to use them for RBs who are higher level, and we want to give them an account with keys versus a Wombat wallet, which we are referring to the bees who don't have an EOS account and don't want to pay for it. So yeah, that's my update.
Great update. And that article that you put together I haven't read it all yet, but it looks awesome, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah. So maybe I'll just mention quickly about the article. Throughout kind of like, so the rest of the year is kind of like our testing phase for the bees in terms of the system. And I wanted to find a few kind of like major EOS pieces of content to translate into all of our languages. And one is the Philip Hamlet article from Shintai about how his rationale of EOS being, I believe it was $1,077 a token, and he had a great just kind of analysis of block one and how the EOS system can grow. Two was Dan's dispute resolution article. I mean, there's so many articles from Dan you can choose from. And then we also wanted like a good kind of basic article, and I couldn't find it. Like they were from 2018 to 2019. They were inaccurate. And so I wanted to create one that was like really concise but thorough. And I especially want to thank James Mart and you too, Chris, for leaving like really great edits and comments. And so I think it made the article a lot better. And hopefully this can be like the kind of article to go to for new EOS members.
Maybe one other article, maybe considering it's a bit technical, but James Smart, it's appropriate run from his name, James Mart. James is smart. The article he has on a primer for Fractal Democracy.
Yeah, I'm aware of that one. Yeah, that's a great one too.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, Jesse, so we can still use some of your article for support as well, right? Is that still on the table for us?
Yeah, of course. So the article is not 100% finished yet. I know that James said that he would go through the article one more time after I made the edits that he suggested. And so I have kind of finished the second draft. If he could read it, within the next week, I'll wait a few days or a week for everyone else to read it again. And then when it's done, I'm going to send it to you, Randall, to put on the EOS Support Learning Center and on Bywire, and I'll just put it everywhere, basically. So yes, it's still on the table, certainly.
All right. Thank you.
Cool.
Kind of jump in here to follow up on that and follow up on where we're at. We started distributing accounts this week, obviously. And if either of you guys end up in a situation where you're like, oh, we ran out, feel free to reach out. We don't have any intended goals or limitations with what we're doing yet. I know it's not an unlimited offer, but the numbers I picked were just arbitrary for a starting size. So we're kind of putting those codes out there. You two are not the only ones that received codes. Like I've given little handfuls to other people as well, so that way they have them in their back pocket in case they needed them for whatever reason. So I guess I could say anybody that is on this call or listening to this call that has like a justifiable reason, this is something we're doing right now and funding. Like this might even become like a line item on the budget that I end up using. It obviously won't be a ton because I don't think I can, there's no way I could spend the entire budget giving away accounts like this. I don't think we could find that many people unless somebody was abusing the system. But that's underway. We have development, kind of really early development, nothing to show for it yet, except some prototypes that barely work for the onboarding stuff that I ran on. We're working on ways that we can integrate account creation into any application in a really kind of seamless way. We want, when you're on Violet Garden, for example, and you're a new user, we want you to be able to like create the account and then land there and start using the app. So I have some on my team starting to work on this now. I haven't had time to touch it, but I've been talking with them regularly about it and making sure that we're starting to explore that side of things. So yeah,
Cool.
I think just keeping it short, that's where we're at.
Let me know, Aaron, once you get something to play with. Could be cool to try adopt it for again account creation. I plan on basically making a system where you can have like a guest on Violet Garden, so they don't have to be a member of Eden. So yeah, if I can integrate that smoothly with Anchor, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Aaron, is it okay? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying it's a big need in the ecosystem. It's hard to like tell somebody to go off and download all this crazy stuff and do these things, and then they'll forget what they were doing originally.
Yeah.
Can I put you in touch with Chuck, who was looking to set up some locals in his community with some accounts? He wouldn't need 100. He just need a handful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. I'll do that. Thank you.
And I just wanted to chime in real quick too on account creation and ask, some years ago now when we went to Steamfest in Lisbon, this was a huge like disaster, but it was a really good idea at the time. We made these awesome, I don't know if you can see these like paper. They never made it because my luggage got lost. Anyway, you can't really see them because of there it is. And on the other side, it has like unique codes that would have allowed people to create accounts on Steam.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that for EOS. I know we kind of live in different times now, but I'm still just a big fan of, like, I'd love to, because I went to a co-op meeting the other night at like a board meeting for a local cooperative, and I don't know, I just feel like there's a lot of room for like kind of grassroots on the ground, like, here, sign up for your own EOS account right here. Like, just all the info they need is on a piece of paper. It, hopefully like a really low cost if it's you know, like the money's not in the account yet until they like go to claim it. So there's no, you know, money just sitting
Yeah.
stuck in an account somewhere and that kind of thing.
Yeah. And that's the way our code system works right now, is that they're like coupons for our system. So we haven't created anything, we haven't paid anything. It's when that code is redeemed is when we're creating a blank account for this new user. But yeah, they could definitely be printed out like that. It'd be like a QR code probably, because our codes are rather lengthy and I wouldn't want to subject somebody to type that in.
Yeah.
But it's certainly an option. And then they could be branded however. Realistically, the QR code that's on the screen for each of those links is what would be on the that printout, that like promotional material. So maybe as we're getting further into the process, because like right now, we also want to be able to sell bulk account creation to dApps. And, you know, like a dApp might be like, we want to onboard 1,000 users and then they want to pay us, I don't know what that costs, $50 or something. And then their options could be like, they can get a list of codes, which is what I'm sending out right now. It's just a text file with like 100 links on it. But the other option could be, here's 100 PDFs, or click print on this website and it'll print out 100 unique branded materials that you could like hand out as flyers or some sort of material. I mean, the sky's kind of the limit with how it could be distributed.
Cool. I'm into it.
Yep. I like it too. There's a lot of fun things we can do with both QR codes and the NFC chips. Like you could even potentially get into like you just put your phone near it and it recognizes it and does it. No scanning or anything.
Mm-hmm.
These coupons, can you have like coupons that's like, you know, one coupon, one account, and then another coupon that's like one coupon, 10 accounts kind of thing?
Not currently, but I'm sure that's a possibility.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Because like I'm just thinking if I was doing like a presentation, because eventually I'm meant to be doing like a live demo at a blockchain meetup. So if I could just have a big QR code on the projector and people scan that and it's like 100 counts in one coupon.
The first 100 people that scan it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that'd be cool. You could also send that out in bulk email marketing type things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be cool if it was like, might be over technical, but yeah, you sort of log in as like a distributor kind of thing, and then I've got a balance of like 96 accounts, and then I just go create new coupon, and then I can go, all right, 10 seats to this coupon, and then if I like screw it up, I can delete it kind of thing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then it's just sort of API integration, and then I just have Valid Card and talk to that.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's part of the reason this has taken us so long to release. I mean, we've been working on account creation for like 8 or 9 months at this point, and it's because we built out an entire platform and APIs and web front ends and like everything we need to be able to do this, as well as support an Anchor to support it. But yeah, we can build these new features on top pretty rapidly at this point.
See, it's off topic, but Anchor, it's written in JavaScript, not TypeScript. Do you have any plans on TypeScript?
I wish it was written in TypeScript.
Because I can't even code JavaScript anymore. Like I can only do TypeScript. So I tried cloning it and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll give Anchor a go. Like check out the code. It's written in JavaScript. I'm like, yuck.
Yeah. No, I mean, we're in the situation now where with Anchor Desktop, we go back to it and we're like, oh, we got to write in JavaScript again. We got to use React again. We got to use Electron. There's like all these decisions that were made 3 years ago or whatever that now we look back at and we're like, we would do this completely differently now. And that's why in that larger vision post I wrote 2 weeks ago or whatever, I said, I want to build Anchor 2.0 for desktop. And that's going to be like TypeScript, something besides Electron. We'll probably use Svelte for it. Just a lot more modern technologies to make it better. So we don't have these problems on iOS or Android because we're using like native frameworks there, but desktop is like the one it's hard to go back to right now.
Is Android written in Kotlin or Java?
It's written in React Native right now. So
Okay.
still had bits of JavaScript, but It's all rendered out at least to native components.
Cool.
But the iOS version is written in Swift.
All right.
Ideally, the Android version would be in Kotlin or Java as well, but we didn't have the expertise about a year ago when we started on it. These projects take a long time.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm glad you're in the trenches.
Yeah.
I'll give an update real quick. But first I have a question for Chris. Chris, did you ever tackle like some set of notes and I just didn't see it from each of the rooms from the election, or did that kind of get?
I've started, but I haven't made a shit ton of progress.
Do you want to maybe collab on that? Because I'm kind of
Yeah.
also doing the same thing anyway, and I'm going through every single one of the videos. And so
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do a shared, I've just got a spreadsheet going in like just Excel. So
okay,
yeah,
cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
So
great idea.
I kind of fell off on the video uploads to YouTube, but I'm back at it again. So I've got a bunch that just need to get uploaded, but I'm just kind of adding the opening sequence and the closing sequence and making it available on the YouTube page. And as I do that, I'm taking notes and kind of keeping track of things. So it'd be nice to compare and then provide that as sort of a condensed, wisdom of the crowd sort of takeaway for people. Yeah, and participated in the quite excellent working group that has been formed, the Eden Expansion Working Group, which we've spoken of a couple times today, focused on educational materials and stuff like that around Eden, and really cool stuff happening there. And then, yeah, just continuing the conversation with anyone I can get my hands on with the DAO legal frameworks, and I think we'll have to expand this into like international discussion at some point as well. And what else? But yeah, just the Clarion update with Brandon Fancher. That was pretty good. And yeah, I just want to keep reaching out to more members of the community as I'm able. So that's where I'm at.
Okay, sweet. In terms of your funding, Lovejoy, I'm assuming waiting for Pomelo is part of your lack of rush. I know I'm definitely, the more I learn of all these, there's so many good Pomelo pitches that are going to be there. Like it's going to be pretty crazy, I think.
Yeah, I think throwing we'll have to come up with a strategy to like maybe divvy up some funds to different accounts to contribute in a Pomelo thing that could benefit the Eden and EOS community. Yeah, I think just tackling this like ambiguity around claiming funds and distributing funds, and then I'm kind of like wanting to get it unlocked and distributed before a month has lapsed, and maybe just kind of keep it on that sort of general timeline throughout the duration of our term. Make sure that things are getting put to work in a timely manner. I think that's just been a little, for me, a lot of ambiguity like out of the gate about how to deploy these funds without getting wrecked. And I know we're all kind of looking at that right now. So yeah, no specific bookmarks for how this is all going to roll out. But I think by the time we have this meeting, if we're doing this again next week, we'll have I'll have a clear layout for the way that my funds are getting allocated. That should be positive. And I'll just bookmark some for Pomelo.
Yeah, I think personally, in my view, Pomelo is going to be an exceptionally good use of funds. Even just the people in this room who need more funds are going to be on Pomelo, right? So I think that's going to be definitely a way to do it. And especially the key would be to leverage your influence within the community to spread as many small distributions of tokens across the number of people you can trust to then pile on to pitches. That's, I think, going to be pretty cool. And we'll find out on Saturday. There'll be the EOS Hot Sauce. It's got Zach Gall on that with Daniel Keys and Martin Brewer. So I think we'll get the actual go live date for Pomelo on Saturday. So
yeah, and I'm in that group with you as well. The Pomelo, what's it called? Pomelo.
I don't know, but it's like the sandbox playground. Yeah,
yeah, and yeah, just educating myself about Pomelo and how it's going to work and how we can use it. I think, hopefully, the community is also keeping up to speed on it.
Yeah, we'll have to look at the tax routing implications there as well. Like that'll be fun. So, I mean, I know I have some funnels now to at least be able to contract out specific work, but donating to a project through Pomelo is probably a completely different type of event that may not be the same form of write-off as a business expense would be, which is kind of how that'll have to be classified from a personal perspective. It's fun.
File to send moments you wish this wasn't on a blockchain.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Even for me, even though I can claim my winnings without any tax consequence, the minute I go to donate them, I still have to do a disposition on each of those. And if the price has gone up, I got to pay capital gains. But it is what it is. Okay, I can do my update, and then John, you can save you for last. I'm fast. Did meeting notes for the last meeting. EOS Detroit BP interview, edited and up. The Eden expansion group had a great call, really coming together. We're working on a group Pomelo pitch. We're going to start a DAC to control the funds. We have excellent progress on the primary school products, or like just the material, I guess is a better word, for the primary school kids. And also Dennis for the high school has his first lesson pretty much ironed out, working on his next one now. And it'll be a series of 12 lessons. The curriculum's mostly set in terms of like what each lesson is going to be. So it's excellent. And then James is sort of taking his angle is more peer-reviewed academic publications. And so he's going to sort of lead that, his time permitting. He's also got another big project working on pull transactions for EOS, or push transactions for EOS. So yeah, that thing is going to be awesome. We'll hear lots about that. We had the Eden open mic on Monday. The recording failed, but now I have a new mic and headphone thing, so it won't fail next time. So sorry for those who missed the Eden open mic, but it's in Discord. So no longer are we doing that in Zoom. We're going to do it in Discord. So community who watches this, if you want to participate in Eden open mic, it's 2000 UTC every Monday. And I've done a couple Pomelo interviews. I've got 4 more scheduled. And so, John, Randall, Aaron, Jesse, you guys doing a Pomelo pitch and you want to be interviewed and have a YouTube video where you get a chance to talk about your proposal and have a video to go with it, hit me up. I'm basically going to have a whole series of videos that will be on a new YouTube channel that will come out when Pomelo goes live. And then there'll be a bunch of interviews with people in their projects to help raise awareness and just help with your promotion. So yeah, that's it.
I think something, because the open mic wasn't recorded, the highlight for me from the open mic, Daniel Keys was on the call, and we were able to ask him to clarify what qualifies as a public good. And as long as you can divide your projects into certain components, and if that component enables a product or service that can be used by anyone, that's non-rivalrous, not excludable, it's a public good. And so I had asked them about Violet Garden, and Violet Garden only allows Eden members. So would that exclude Violet Garden from going on Pomelo? And his answer was no, not necessarily. If Violet Garden builds something that can be used from other dApps, for example, then that can get funded as a public good. And also with Violet Garden, like this guest pass idea that's been thrown around. So if John wants to develop a way to invite guests on the Violet Garden, that could be a public good. So it was like a lot more flexible than I was pleasantly surprised by his answer. It's really all about how you position your pitches. So if you're doing a pitch on Pomelo and you're unsure it's a public good, first of all, just go and ask. On the Discord, there's a Pomelo channel that they will talk to you. But as long as you can position at least a component of your overall project as a public good, then you can go on Pomelo.
Awesome.
Yeah, great points.
Awesome. For Violet Garden, I'm working on a feature that lets you sort of just bid in the post list page. But again, majority of my time has just been spent on eating more vegetables, paying off more tech debt. I could talk more about it, but like, you know, unless you're a developer, it won't really mean much to you. I wish I had cooler things to talk about, but yeah, just paying off tech debt, essentially, the boring stuff.
So what, like paying off tech debt, like you took shortcuts earlier on and they like, you have to fix it before you can move forward. Is that what that means? Like it's a
pretty much. It's like being a chef, right? And not cleaning up as you go. So you've just like made, you know, a full course meal that the kitchen is in a complete mess. And then you're like, oh, like let's make another, you know, another dish, but you know, you can't. You keep tripping over everything, like, you know, all the bowls and utensils are dirty, sort of thing. So it's a mess. Ideally, you clean up as you go, but even doing that, like you assume it's going to be one way and then it's another. Like there's a lot of stuff that you don't know until you actually develop it. So yeah, but definitely took shortcuts in getting, you know, Violet Garden out to production, because again, the idea is that because I didn't want to just pitch shit. Like I didn't want to go into the election and be like, oh, I'm going to make this, I'm going to make that, and it's going to be great. Like I wanted something that you guys could actually, you know, physically use and play with and have in your hands. So yeah, paying off a bit of, you know, debt.
Well, that was the right strategy.
100% right strategy. Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
I love watching Aaron nod along, like to your analogy, like this wicked grin on his face. Like
The analogy I had was that, like, imagine you built a house and like you're like, great, I have some place to live. And then you're like, all right, let's add a second floor. And then you're like, wait a minute, these walls can't support a floor above us. And you're like, well, now we have to rebuild all the walls. And so you got to redo all that so you can support what you're building on top of it. And yeah, it happens constantly. And I'm in the same boat with account creation. Like we built it to do a thing, and now that we want to do other things, we got to go back and redo some of that work. So
yeah, and there's only so much you can plan. Like you can assume that it's going to be structured in one way until you actually code it and like, oh shit, we didn't account for that, or something else has changed, and then you got to go back to the drawing board and redo the foundation of your house, sort of thing. So yeah, that's the kind of nature of it. But yeah, not everyone understands. And like, oh, can you just put a window in this house? Like, how complicated can one window be? And you're like, no, like actually, that is that is impossible.
That's a load-bearing wall.
Yeah. So yeah, that's basically tech debt summed up. The next item is discussion on talking to B1. Did you guys want to load up a Telegram message, or should I speak it out? Or
there it is.
Screen is better.
Can you see it?
Yep.
Yeah. Do you want me to read it? Or you can read it.
Eden members, perhaps the single most important discussion that needs to happen, and soon, is a Zoom meeting between Brendan Bloomer and Block 1 and representatives from the EOS community. It'll be fairly straightforward as follows. Form a panel of several chief delegates from Eden, plus members of the Chinese, Korean, Spanish, and other language groups. Invite team Block 1 to the meeting, preferably Brendan plus 2. Prepare a list of questions, easy softballs to kick things off, tough hardballs to make the meeting meaningful. Both sides agree to stick to the script and not wander off topic, nor resort to vitriol, insults.
Vitriol.
Insults, just the vitriol. Insults. That'll be funny. The focus
fuck
of
you.
Yeah, fuck you, Block 1. You ruined everything. What you promised to. I wanted a Lambo. I'll sell my house.
Pulls his mic off and walks away from the
This
meeting's over. Well, that went well.
The focus of the meeting is to acknowledge the past, but focus on the future. All other EOS community members are invited to listen on mute and submit all questions in writing ahead of time. privately to the meeting coordinator during the event. In my honest opinion, this is a critical meeting at this juncture. Block 1 owns 96 million EOS, so should be treated as a valued member of our community. The meeting would clear the air somewhat and allow us to move forward with a clear plan and hopefully our dignity intact. Climbing up and refusing to discuss the outstanding issues is a recipe for disaster. Like a marriage, not communicating with the party with whom you are sharing your life with will result in divorce, in which case both sides lose and only the lawyers make money. Let's reach out to Block 1 and formally propose a meeting. This is excellent opportunity for the Eden Chief Delegates to take the initiative and spearhead the event.
Wow.
Well, that certainly is a structure on one way to do things, but like, what would we talk about?
Yeah, well, as you scroll up a tiny bit, Chris, was it to air out the past and talk about the future? So I guess gauge on what Block 1
So I could think of something.
intend on, what the hell they're actually doing with EOS as well.
There's a lot of
Let's
people
dish it out.
saying that. So there's a lot of people saying in the community that Block 1's abandoning developing EOSIO code, or they will abandon it. So that is something to, like, for example, this is what is going on in the community right now. Can you comment on this? I'm willing to make a draft of an email, I guess, and then I can share it with you guys, and I can send an email. I mean, at least try this. Send an email to someone at Block 1 with the message of, very fair, questions in advance, etc. And, at least see if they get a response. I ran on sentiment, and I think it's a major, like, we have a major sentiment issue outside of our community, but also inside of our community because of Block 1. And I was trying to think of the last time that a rep from Block 1 came on an EOS kind of podcast. Besides, well, Dan resigned, but before that, so it's been a while is the point. And so, yeah.
Would we be better off delegating that, reaching out to a Clarion member, given that they're sort of ex Block 1 themselves? Would they have a better angle than us?
Would they do that though? I don't know.
Well, I think the main thing is drafting the letter and then giving it to anyone
Right.
that can get it to them. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, is it worth taking action based on something that's unannounced? Like this at this point, I don't know. I feel like if this is gonna become the reality, they probably are planning on announcing something along those lines and approaching them based on speculation. I don't know. It just seems like a shaky foundation to base all of the things we would build upon. Like, I do really think that if we could get a clear future out of what they envision as a large vested token holder for the ecosystem, that would be great. Providing certainty and stuff like that. But I don't know.
Now, Aaron, it was
I don't
just an
know.
example. I'm not necessarily saying that was a good example. It's just something that is on the top of my mind personally. But if we reach
I'm
out
sure
to
all
them
of
and
us,
say, like, ball's in your court. Like, what do you want to talk about? We just want to hear you. Like, you're a member of our community. We just want to we want to talk to you, and kind of leave it in their court, maybe.
Sure. I
Yeah.
will say that, like, I was pretty deep in Steam when all of this, I don't know how many of you remember that, with when Justin's son and community trying to organize a call with Justin to figure out where he wanted to go with Steam. And like, it was kind of a mess. So I'd rather not see that repeated. Like, I understand the concerns, and I believe me when I say I really would love to know what they're doing, because I haven't over the past couple of years. But if something like this, I don't think we should rush it, maybe is the best sentiment.
Yeah, so why is it that we don't leave this up to the foundation, right? And maybe also Dan, because Dan is basically representing Eden, right? So Eden on EOS technically. And the foundation is also representing EOS, right? So at least we have guys who are in place to initiate the conversation, right? So I think with that, we can get some information from them on how they want to proceed, right? And then they can relay that information to the community. And then maybe we can start from there, right? Because I think if we decide to, like Aaron, you were saying, just rush to B1, I don't think we will get too far or we will get anywhere. Or it will be a little bit messy.
Doesn't it? But we could go. I mean, I like the idea of let's just try to talk. Like, it doesn't have to be, hey, fuckers. We can just, it could just be, right? Because there's no accusations. It's an open hand. It's kind of like what I said during the actual election there. What's our view towards B1? And I think we just extend a hand as community representatives. Like, we've been elected. So I don't know if you had representatives like that in the Steam example, Aaron, where you had this core group who was going out and trying to make this conversation happen.
It was the block producers who, up until that point were developing much of the network except for the core product of Steemit. But the sentiment turned quickly, because then when people weren't happy with the outcome, it turned into, oh, let's fork and let's change the network and let's take people's tokens away. And it got toxic really fast. And I know that there are elements of that toxicity within EOS, and rightfully so. But like, I can imagine some of the questions that the community wants asked are like, what are you going to do with this vested balance that was granted to you that's still vesting over the next 7 years? And that's a pretty touchy subject, I'm sure. Best case scenario is, I don't know what that is, but it does involve large sums of money and people that are very upset with the company that's not deploying it how they feel it should be. So I watched it blow up once.
so maybe it's like, just put forward an email that says, we'd like to talk, and just keep it really just no expectations. We don't even have to like canvas the community with things they want to ask. Let's just see if we can even break ground with B1 and get a response. That'd be enough. And then if they've done that, I think that's a great step in the right direction, and we can just see where it goes. Because it's a really good point, because we're not going to satisfy everybody in that conversation. We're either going to be too soft on them, and that's going to piss people off, or too hard on them, and that's going to piss people off. So we are kind of damned if we do, damned if we don't. But at the same time, sitting on our hands and doing nothing doesn't seem like the right thing for us to do either.
Right. I mean, it can be a hand that's reached out from the EOS community to the developers of EOS.io. That is, what does the future look like from your perspective? I mean, we have other things in place, but
I think if the overall goal is to establish contact and reduce ambiguity, and if ambiguity is reduced at all, then it's a success. Because it's an improvement over what we have now, which is like 100% ambiguity. So if we can get down to like 70% ambiguity, like that's 30% improvement, and
we're at 100% now.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, like maybe we have some.
I know, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm being a little pessimistic, but like, yeah, John.
I don't know, if they answer one question, then we're probably going to have like 300, questions more after that. I fear that it'll be a bit like, we're like a child, and block one is like the father that abandoned us, and we're asking to see that, our father for a call or something on our birthday, and then like, we see them, and we're like, oh, you coming back to me now? Like, now can you finally love me? And like, they just abandon us again, kind of thing. Where if we just pretend they don't exist, keep chugging on, doing our thing, working on Eden, and pretend that they're not there, like we have been for the past few months.
But that's not. You can't just.
That's a good coping strategy.
Yeah, that's not a great coping strategy. That leads to
I think it is in some cases, like, you know, what
that's what I'm thinking, right? I'm thinking we should just, for us, we should just focus on eating on EOS, focus on our work, right? And we should just leave this up. We should punt this. We should leave this up to Eves.
Come on, you were elected to represent the community. We're just gonna hey, do you want to talk? That's it. We're only gonna ask them if they want to talk. That's it. It's not, hey, do you want to come and be my dad again? It's just, do you want to talk? That's it. And I think that's low key. We don't have to be any. I mean, they're probably not going to answer us. In all reality, they're likely not even going to answer our email. Let's be fair. So at least we can say we tried.
Yeah, and they know full well that they're only going to answer what they want to answer, and we know that the same thing. So it's not like there's any mystery there. They're going to give us as much as the lawyers will let them give us, and that's that. But I think it would look. I also think there would be a huge win for this chief delegate position for us to kind of take the opportunity and not abdicate like our responsibility, but to step up.
If we don't, who does?
Yeah, and I think like leaving it to the foundation or to Dan is kind of a cop out. Like I think this is exactly why we're here, and
yeah, and it's very low risk. We're trying to write a really good email, and we're going to send them an email.
Okay.
And that's it.
I love this, like the distribution here is really funny. Like, I've seen shit before.
Do we have consensus? Do we have consensus on 2+1 on actually doing this as a group? Because it would be a group initiative, so we probably need to reach consensus on just a basic email, which everyone will get a chance to review before it's sent, of course.
I'm against.
You're against it? I'm for.
I'm for.
For.
Randall?
All right, Aaron, what do you think?
It's an email. We're not
no, but it's an email, and then they get we get a response. So if we do get a response, then again it gets out of hand. You know, there
you go to extremes so quick, dude. It's
so easy for that to happen in crypto.
We send out an email, then they send back their hitman. I mean, you know, like
they send one back, and then stuff goes out of hand. Then there's a million questions to go. It gets out of control from there. Again, we've just found our own independence. We've just turned 18. We can be an adult now, and now we're still reaching out to a parent that abandoned us. Like, let's keep going.
Giraffe.
Me, I'm a no vote. I want to talk to maybe Zach and get their input, right, to see if there's the right thing for us to do, because technically they are also in control of the network, right? So I think Eden.
BPs they're just in charge of inflation. There's some inflation. The network ENF they're not in charge of the network. The BPs are. They're just in charge of. They've been delegated responsibility from the BPs. That's kind of it, really. We've been voted by consensus by a bunch of community members to try to do something meaningful. So if we're not even willing to send an email to this huge gorilla in the room, that you can't just shove it under a rug. They're way too big. They're a gorilla. You'll step on it.
They're like an elephant.
So it's like
they've been sleeping. They haven't done anything that has impacted the community.
That doesn't change the
money. They haven't released anything in reduction.
That's fine, but that's not yet. None one of those are a good reason why we shouldn't, as a representative of the community, talk to the biggest shareholder in the community. And it's just opening email, which they probably won't even respond to. It's not a back and forth. It's going to turn into the series of emails and blow up in our face. We can stop that after the first email if it looks like it's going to be a waste of time. But at least I think we should try. This is like incumbent upon us. I want this to be my statement to the community, because for the next election, I'm not going to not get voted on because you were a pussy. You didn't even want to stand up for us. So it's like the least we can do is try to talk to them. I'm not saying you're a pussy. No one else is a pussy, but I'm not a pussy. I want to at least talk to B1 and see what they have to say.
Are you saying that if we weren't keen on talking to B1, would be pussies?
It would be pussyfooting around the subject. Yeah, kind of.
No,
Okay,
we,
well,
we
we
can't
can come
be
up with
we
other
can't be
language.
insulting each other. If we
Yeah.
disagree, we
Didn't mean
cannot
like
be
that. I'm sorry.
insulting each other.
Sorry, I take it
So-
back. I apologize. I didn't mean it. I was just like, my humor is poor sometimes. I really like John, and no one's a pussy here. So I'm sorry for that. Poor form.
There are risks here, but in my perspective, this is what the community expects from us. Ray sent that message in Telegram and it got support. And I personally don't see I don't see a scenario where anything's blowing up in our face. I think that is an exaggeration. So I would like to send an email and see what happens personally.
If not us, who? If not now, when?
So the email is basically going to say that. What is the email going to say? I just want to.
We can get to that
Yeah.
later. That's the
No.
next
So
step.
the email's going to say that, hey, we are the new chief delegates, and we would like to open a communication bridge between us.
Okay.
Basically, that's it.
Dialogue.
All right. That's a very neutral email. I like that. Actually.
We'll
Yeah.
say that this shouldn't just be towards block one. If this is going to be a tact that this group takes on, like other large stakeholders should be approached
Yes.
kind of the same way.
Rob Pierce.
Yeah.
In that sense, like if
Yeah.
that is a responsibility this group takes on, then it makes sense. But they need to be treated like any other shareholder, or not
Yep.
shareholder, token holder at this point.
Yeah.
I'm
it's
not
neutral
opposed.
email. Aaron, I think it's neutral, so that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I will be the first to put my metaphorical foot on the brakes if things get a little crazy. But like, if they want to talk, they have it up until this point, so I don't know what to expect.
I'm not going to be happy unless John is like at least neutral on this, though. Like, we need to get John to be like, guys, just give it your best shot.
I see his point of view,
wash my
though. Like,
hands of this.
there's better
It's
things we could be
very good
spending our
point.
time on.
Yeah.
No,
like-
this is such small time. This is not
right.
much time at all.
And
has the opportunity
but
to make a
if they
big
respond, it's the only thing we're going to be talking about. It's the only thing that anyone's going to be talking about in the EOS community is
That's
what's
great.
Block One's going to do. Block One is now talking to Eden on EOS, blah blah blah.
We could keep it to us. We
Well,
don't have to
can't,
necessarily
because-
disclose it. Well, we could make a decision as
Yeah,
chief delegates to
that's-
keep
that's
this
a good point,
conversation to
Chris.
us from now
Yeah.
on until it's time, because it does have community sentiment ramifications. So we maybe do want to treat this a little more gently and not keep the community fully informed, because that's a good point, John.
Yeah.
Are you saying this meeting won't go public then, or this is going to be edited a bit, or
We're not at a meeting.
No.
We're just at an email right
This
now.
this meeting right now, we can leave this up for the community to see, and we can just say,
Oh.
listen, community, this is really sensitive. Cut us on this particular topic. We're going to keep this to ourselves so we can be as deliberate and tactful about this as possible. And because we don't want to derail the positive momentum we have, but we see that this is an important conversation to have. So let's just go down the path. We'll start with an introductory email. When something fruitful comes of that, then we go to the community and make them aware. But in the meantime, we can keep this to ourselves so it doesn't stir up a bunch of wasted time and energy, like you mentioned, which is totally valid.
All right. Well, yeah. If we don't
I agree.
advertise it and we keep it on the down low from what we can, then sure, let's send the email. But
Consensus.
yeah, it feels like we've just turned 18. It's our opportunity to be the man of the house and sort of take responsibility for the house where the dad has abandoned us, and we're kind of like flirting with dad coming back, and like the whole mess just starting all up again, kind of thing. So
We don't.
yeah,
We don't
hopefully
need to
we
let him in and like have him start drinking at the kitchen and breaking dishes again. Like we could stop
But
him.
that's the thing. We got younger siblings, and they want him back. Like, oh yeah, dad's here. Dad's here. That's the EOS community. They say dad's got $4 billion, and look at all the crazy things that he could do for us, and he can do this and he could do that. Like there's been fantasies like children, fantasies of what Block One can do. They
Yeah, but
can
that's
create
over
an
now,
exchange.
John.
They can do. No, it's not over now. It
Those
is not.
fantasies are over.
They will
Yes,
flood
they-
back
Perpetuates
in.
it a little bit.
Well,
I
maybe we
promise
can-
you, they'll come back. They'll come back. You know that they can
won't.
easily.
Yeah.
Well,
That,
no,
that
that's
they
a
still
good.
happen now.
That's a really good point, and maybe like this is exactly something that we should like go into this conversation with an eye towards like not leaving any room for fantasies of that
Right.
nature.
Like level was
actively.
This is now man to man. We are a peer, a block one. We're not gonna like, you know, sort of cower down in a sense, saying, oh yeah, you know, you do this, you do that, you know, fulfill our fantasies of giving us what you promised, you know, what you were sort of meant to in what the community thought that they were going to do, sort of thing. So yeah, but tough love in a sense. I don't know, but yeah, we got to be careful of the fantasies that everyone else can indulge by talking to block one, because it's not productive. And it's screwed us over so much before. It's broken our hearts plenty of times before. It's to the development of the chain, and you know, even just creating a wallet. You know, everyone thought the wallet was going to come out from block one, and that screwed us up. And you know, it was only till Grey Mass, you know, saved their asses and got the chain, you know, going and gave us a professional wallet to use. You know, so
yeah, Aaron was like the doubter, the first doubter. He's like, I'm not gonna wait. I'm not gonna wait.
Yeah.
Well,
I think that we've learned a lot of lessons as a community, and I don't think that we're going to be repeating the same psychological mistakes that you're describing, John. I think we've grown up a lot as a community, and so I think it's time to approach them with realistic expectations now, and I think that will be productive.
Cool. Well, like I said in the message as well, like Ray suggested, you know, no insults or, you know, bad feelings or whatever. So again, we're not going to be a child asking the dad, why did you abandon me? Blah, blah, blah. You know, it's going to be adult to adult.
Nothing about the past.
Well, we can
No,
talk a little
why?
bit about the past, but not in the sense that, yeah, like, you know, the sort of, you know, bad stuff. But yeah, it's going to be, yeah, good.
Yeah, we got to go B code hardcore here, and I think that will make us successful in this endeavor.
Yeah, I've scheduled everyone for a nonviolent communications session next week, and
I'm gonna fail. Just kidding.
Yeah, I might not be good at that either. Okay,
All right,
so this
so
is
we'll
probably
come
the
up
last
with the
time we'll talk
draft.
about this. Yeah,
So
and it's
I
the
just
last we'll
added
talk about it in the group.
Eden assets in the chat group, in the chat room. So you guys can download it from there.
oh, cool, thanks.
Awesome, thank you.
I'll is it okay if I just share that right in the Eden members Telegram group?
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
So
so just to clarify, people watching this, you're not going to be hearing anything more about this email strategy that we've described. We want to just introduce this to you, and it's going to be on the DL for now until potentially something is presentable that we can present.
Until, yeah, like, right, we agree to that there's
Right.
something worth. Cool.
Right on.
No.
Last item, I think, John, was Discord server.
Yeah, should Eden start a Discord server? Don't we? We already have an Eden channel in the EOS community server, don't we?
Yeah, I was
Oh.
actually going to bring it up in the next moderator meeting. So in the new EOS Discord, we have meetings as moderators every Monday. And so I was going to bring up adding some a public channel and a private channel for Eden. And so I think it makes more sense to kind of be a channel on the EOS Discord. However, I recently learned that Dan does not like Discord. And so I'm not sure how much support we'll get from the Clarion team for this move to try to get people from Telegram to Discord in our Eden community. But we got to do what we think is best. And so I think we should at least have a channel, let people choose if they want to be on Discord or Telegram.
Yeah, I don't know. We get such a limited amount of time from Dan to begin with to then say, hey, you got to jump through this hoop as well if you want to talk to us. We might be, I don't know, isolating ourselves.
For the record, he said, on Discord. He didn't say that he didn't like it.
Well, actually, yeah, I don't know. We could next time we have a chat, someone
awesome.
around, we might be able to get a better.
How did he spell that?
Better view.
Was
there an emoji involved?
EHH.
It wasn't the Canadian
Two
A.
H's.
It was
I suspect, I'm going to make a guess here. If we ever do get an answer from John, I can refer back to my guess, which is that Discord is a heavier application than Telegram. And in fact, in some of the language hives in the lower income hives, that they're having some issues with Discord because it's a heavier app. And maybe that's why Dan isn't so hot on Discord.
I mean,
It also has privacy concerns with it.
yeah,
Oh,
So,
okay. That's
And-
probably it. Never mind.
it's kind of the product is use suite, as Aaron pointed out the other day.
yeah,
No, but you can disable the privacy
No.
concerns.
no, you
You
can't.
can't. That's what I thought that's what Martin said.
Well, he
Ah.
was referring to my thing when it asked for keystroke.
Mhm.
Like but recording keystrokes and recording data, two separate
Oh,
issues
okay.
Yeah.
altogether.
Yeah, that's whether you're giving access to your computer while you're doing things. So that way you can activate like voice chat or on-screen controls if you're a streamer or something. Like it has its use, but that's not the privacy concern. The privacy concern is just that all the data is in this company's servers on Discord that they analyze and profile people, and it's the whole.
How is that different from Telegram?
Yeah, it's not too much different than Telegram. It's like saying what's the difference between like Telegram and Google though? I mean, if I say Google, like we all know that that's their business model. Every ounce of data you push through Google is something that they like analyze you with, and you become the
Right.
product.
I
So
see.
Telegram probably does some of that. I don't know how much, but Google is like really well known for it, and so is Discord. So
We need Clarion OS, but we're not going to get it in the short term.
So with that in mind, like, do we want to bother with trying to move a bunch of people over to a new place like Discord if we know that in the end we're going to end up trying to move to Clarion? Like, do we just tolerate Telegram for another year or however long it's going to take and not try to mix it up?
The other factor is it's already baked into the current iteration of the smart contract utilizes Telegram profiles.
Right.
I don't think we're going to migrate away from Telegram anytime soon, like completely, but Discord can be an option. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a channel there for people who would rather engage there. It's going to fragment the communication, unless there's some sort of bridge, but honestly, those bridges
there's
are kind of
relay
annoying.
bridges.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
kind of
annoying
annoying.
though. Yeah.
Yeah. Because
I don't
now I
know.
have to read and skim through stuff in two spots. and,
Twice, right? Yeah, no, it's like double the work now. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I think
No, it's one spot. That's the whole point of the bridge.
Not
You
if you
get
want to
all the
follow and
messages in one
reply.
spot.
But you
Yeah.
can't reply accurately. Like if you want to actually read something and have input, you got to go then find it on the other side where the
Right,
conversation's
right,
actually
right.
having. I know. I'm personally voting. If we were to vote, I would say let's just leave the private Telegram Eden members as is, and maybe open a public one that can be a bit of a funnel to bring people into Eden. Like I see more use in that to open another public channel that can get more members. But I'm not so keen on splitting up the actual member one personally.
I could agree with that.
Yeah, on that, we could theoretically unwind the public Eden on EOS channel in Telegram and just do that in Discord.
Exactly.
Theoretically.
Yeah, that
So
would
it'd
be a
like a
better move.
1-for-1. But
Yeah, that sounds good.
that has costs too, because then all the people that are
The public one in Telegram is not that active lately. Like it's pretty sparse. So I don't think it would upset too many people.
I think for the answer to this question specifically, should we start a new one? The answer is clearly no. But we may have some purposes for Discord. Like the voice chat's really nice. It's better than Telegram, but Telegram might catch up. It seems like they're trying. Like you can start voice chats now in Telegram, and we've experimented with that a couple times in various places. But probably not a high priority to start a new one or try to move people.
Exactly. That's a whole headache. Who the hell wants to take that on out of this group? I don't.
My whole philosophy with communications with respect to all this is like for every new thing we add, we should be removing 2. Because attention is like so thin, spread so thin, and you guys all know full well we're monitoring like an insane number of conversations to try and stay like up to speed on so many things.
Yep.
I can see steam coming out of your ears right now, like just thinking about it.
Yeah, I need to figure out a bot that like automatically replies to all the messages I get that like directs them to like some service that funnels questions.
Yeah. So I think our general push should be towards fewer communication channels overall, rather than like infinite multiplication of channels. And then we also do have to think down the road, if there are multiple, when there are multiple Eden communities and we are an Eden of Edens, this is going to like be like exponentially problematic. So like the more we can get right now, the more we can treat this like an airplane and remove as many things as we can now, the more we'll be able to like have a fleet of Edens that won't be all like, who said what where? Like, well, I don't know. Like it's gonna magnify the madness. Like if we can't get communications under control in some imperfect, ad hoc way. I don't know the answer, but that's my input.
It's tech debt.
John, fix it.
So we'll do a public Eden on the EOS channel in Discord, keep it private on Telegram, and I think that's what I would vote for.
Can still keep the public one on Telegram as well, even if it's not that active. But
right.
Yeah.
Just let people choose.
Maybe we should try and create like a guide like we did with the who controls what account, and try to like be really clear about what's essential, like an essential communications channel, and what's just kind of like, if you're communicating here, we may not notice it. It's just kind of, if you really want to bring something to the attention, like it should be in somewhere, like meaning, like that we can all agree on, like, because I'm open to having all these different like community channels where people are just kind of free flow of ideas and stuff. But when it comes to, okay, now that we've had this like multi, message session and somebody came up with a cool idea, like bring it somewhere else, so that the burden isn't on the community to like sift through like these thousands of messages and pluck out like little tidbits of meaning here and there. We can create like a self-sorting kind of communications flow of some kind. That would be really optimal. How to do that, I don't know. Maybe just like creating like like a color-coded, like a chart that says like, you're here. No one's gonna see what you're saying right now. Or like if you come up with a really brilliant idea here, like take it somewhere else, because we can't watch everywhere all the time, I don't know. If anyone watching this has ideas,
I think maybe we should just leave everything as is right now. Maybe the way it is at the moment. All right.
Low rate of change is good. If possible.
I think that's it, right?
I think so.
Yeah, let's wrap
Cool.
this up, guys.
Okay, so a final answer to that question is we're just gonna have the creation of one public channel on the EOS community server. We're all happy with that.
Just right.
Yes, I don't know. It's pretty fragmented already. I don't think one more channel will hurt.
Be the straw that
At least if we create something on Discord, it's a little bit better for spam. I mean, like scams. Sorry.
Yeah.
Because otherwise,
Supposedly.
someone could create their own server and be like, "Hey, this is the official Eden on EOS thing on Discord," and scam away.
Did you guys notice also in the chat, as an aside, that I thought we were talking about a different domain, the eoscommunity.com is for sale I put it in the chat here on Zoom.
It's just a couple grand, right? $4,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very expensive.
Yeah. I'm just, because it's
Who does that? Forks the website and then buys the domain and puts it up. I mean, that seems like we're this like peaceful community in EOS trying to do great things for the world in EOS. And it's like, what?
I'm sure that domain was registered a long time ago.
Someone who's still paying attention and then forked Ray's site.
Is it actually, or are you talking about the EdenOS.com that he was showing, which is a security risk because it's.
Yeah, we got to figure out who that belongs to. And that's a priority. So
How do you stop that?
You don't. I mean, how many fake voice sites and fake block one sites have you seen that are designed to steal people's keys? There's a lot of them. You can't stop them.
Right. Yeah. I just got followed by a fake Brendan Bloomer Twitter account. So, I mean, there's lots of that going on.
That's the real one. He was listening to our call.
He just got 17 followers. I don't know about that being the real one. Like, why do people do that? It's like, come on.
he reached out to me on Instagram the other day. He said, "Hi, how are you?" And it was all these photos of him. It's like, what the hell? Anyway.
Cool. So I think that's it.
Thanks,
Anything else?
Get some
No.
sleep.
Hungry.
Cool.
Get some food. Get some sleep.
No.
See you guys next time.
Sweet. Thanks for
Yep.
everyone's time.
Good.
I'll work on the notes. This time I will give 24 hours to update them. Apologies for last week, guys. I just pushed them out, but I'll get them done.
Cool.
They're pretty much done. So this will be a pretty fast turn.
Awesome.
Cool.
Great.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.